last weekend when we were here, I guess it was maybe 2 weekends ago, we had a fuel leak. And I suspected that it was mice who got into the tractor and chewed the fuel line. Now, the fuel tank is up here, and we had fuel going down the other side. Hi there, I'm Kevin.
I'm Sherri.
Welcome to Logs,
Bogs, and Meadows.
So it's good morning from the forest. First thing we do is get a fire going, get things situated, and make some coffee. So that's what we're doing right now. Is we got the old school percolator going over here, and fire that thing up, let it go on that little portable cooktop for about, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes, and we usually have wonderful coffee. Pan over here, and the puppies are kind of happy to have a fire first thing. And when I first came out here, it was 56 degrees, and it's probably warming up a little. They're saying it's supposed to be in the 80s today, and that's pretty amazing for the end of March in the Cumberland Valley. So good night's sleep, long good night's sleep. I always sleep well in the RV. One of the best things about camping is, of course, cooking outdoors. And I do most of the cooking, and I try to set myself up for success. So first of all, we've got this nice little, I don't know, portable propane gas stove. It's actually butane. And it's great for making coffee. It's great for using a skillet, using a sauce pot, something like that. And then, as we go down the row here, we've got, our miniature Blackstone griddle. We love it. It works well. For us, it's just fantastic. We cook a lot on it. And over yonder there, we have the kettle grill, which is an important component to our outdoor cooking as well.
Doggies. Doggies, coffee, and fire.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
This is the Dragon. The Dragon is a Entegra Qwest 24K. It is a 2020 model. It sits on a 2019 Sprinter chassis. We've owned it since 2020, and it's been a fantastic little RV motorhome for us. We call it the Dragon because it makes a very, very fiery, roaring noise when you turn the heat on. And one of the first things that when we noticed that camping, we said, let's call this the Dragon. I think we might have called it the Dragonfly for a while, but the Dragon seems to be a better, shorter name for it. We used to camp mostly in state parks and do some RV trips. But since we've owned this property, we've camped primarily just on our own property. And it's provided a wonderful way to come spend the weekend or more time and just be able to do what we want to do, either recreationally or from a work standpoint to improve the property, which is recreational for us, of course.
You know what you didn't mention about the Dragon?
What's that?
That's where you proposed to me.
Did I?
Yep. We were at your house, and then you said you put some shelves in or some kind of organization thing, and you said, come on, let me show you this. And when I went out and I was looking at something, you opened a drawer and had the ring in there, and then you got down on your knee.
That's right. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Sherri's having some problems with her eye today.
I am.
She's got some allergy things going on. It's the end of March, and that's what we deal with.
It got poked in the eye, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
If it's not better by tomorrow, I'll have to go to urgent care or something.
Well, the last time we were here, we had some issues with our tractor here, JimBob. A couple things happened. First of all, it needed a 200-hour service, and that was a little bit more than I wanted to do. So that's preventive maintenance, so it wasn't necessarily a repair. But we had that going on, and at the same time, last weekend when we were here, I guess it was maybe 2 weekends ago, we had a fuel leak. And I suspected that it was mice who got into the tractor and chewed the fuel line. Now, the fuel tank is up here, and we had fuel going down the other side. And sure enough, I was right. Took it to the dealership, and mice had chewed through the fuel line, created some havoc. That's disappointing. It cost me about $500 to repair those fuel lines. And then at the same time, we had a flat right front tire, so they put a new tire on that. Needless to say, we're here this weekend. We got JimBob back, but we also got a bill that's about $1,000, and unexpected. We knew we had the maintenance, but you have to provision for that when you have equipment because it does break. And unless you can do it yourself, if you have the tools, if you have the patience, if you have the knowledge, if you have the time, that's awesome. I have a little bit of all of those things, but I'm also getting a little older and it's harder for me to do those things. So for me, it's just easier to have the dealership come get it, take it to their shop and fix it. But now what we need to do is we need to put the grapple on because Sherri wants to clear out some brush today. I'll let her describe what she's doing. And so the grapple's off, and I know from last time that the hydraulic lines that we have really need to be cleaned, and they're dirty. Even though you can put covers on them, they get dirt in them. So these things are fantastic. Just easy to keep out here, wipe things down, make them clean. So we are using these things all of the time, and we have obviously the male and female connectors on both the implement and the tractor. They both get dirty. They both need to be cleaned. If you get dirt in those hydraulic lines, it's not good. Okay, I think she's ready to roll. Got the hydraulics hooked up. We've got this on. I can tell that it's locked in position. So we should be good to go for Sherri to do her work. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to do before I hand it over to Sherri, or next to the last thing I'm going to do is check the hydraulic fluid. It tends to leak a little bit, and I think it's because of those third mount hydraulics that I have on the front for the grapple. That was an extra. It didn't come with the tractor. And I think they tend to leak a little bit. So over the course of time, we end up with having to top off a little bit of the hydraulic fluid, which doubles as transmission fluid. It is a hydrostatic tractor, which is why it whines a lot. You'll hear it whining a good bit. I actually believe that we might be okay. We are between the lines, and it's very possible that when they serviced it, you checked those fluid levels for me and got them right. They did, so we are good to go there. I said the next to last thing, there's one last thing we have to do, and that is put on the weight box. And the weight box, I also call it the ballast box, ballast weight. It's used for putting on the back here and making sure that the back of the tractor is heavy enough so that when you lift up something on the front of the tractor that it's capable of doing it without tipping. So the last thing we're going to be doing today is putting that ballast box on. So this is these are just some bricks that were left over here, some masonry blocks that were just thrown on the property. I don't know what they were used for, but when we got this box for our ballast box, you can fill it with sand, you can fill it with stones, fill it with a lot of different things that just weigh things. But these were sitting around and they do weigh a lot, so we just filled it up with those and they seem to work fine. It's also nice because it gives us a place to put our chain. The chain that's gone in there, and that's heavy as well, so that kind of all works for us. So we were out here on March 29th, and it's in the 70s. The sun is shining. Very uncharacteristic for this time of year. And Sherri is out in front of the pavilion right now. And Sherri, what are you working on?
I am doing battle with the invasive species that I've been doing since we got this property.
And so what species are we looking at right now that's in your
this
hand?
one, well, let me put this in the trash because you want to throw these away. We don't want them anywhere. We want them to go away. So over here, we have the beginning. This is called garlic mustard. These here. And when they get mature, they come up about this high and they have those white little puff balls. And they just take over. If you notice, all the green stuff that you're seeing pretty much are all invasives, and that's the problem with them. They're the first things to come up and they spread, and then they suffocate the native plants. So I'm trying to win the battle.
Do you recall what native plants are in this area that you're trying to bring back?
Well, we planted some wildflowers. There's goldenrod.
The wildflowers we planted were over in here, correct?
Over in here, all along through here.
Okay.
I was taking goldenrod and throwing it around. We have some milkweed. I have to look. I forget what the other ones are. But there should be some starting to come up next month,
Okay.
I think. And then there's random daffodils that somebody planted. Some human planted that. Yeah, I don't know if they even bloom.
Yeah.
Because once they get old, they just green up. But I'm also going to begin my attack on a Japanese honeysuckle. That's this stuff that just grows over everything. Although it does make a lovely flower, it kills off the native honeysuckle. So I'm trying to fight all that by pulling it out of the ground.
I see.
And I'm going to be using the grapple later to just go through here and just pull it up, which is kind of how I started with the Japanese stiltgrass.
And so we are in front of the pavilion area here. We have this area where it starts to go down into the bog. And if you look beyond Sherri here, this is the bog down here. And the bog is characteristic of, just wet clay soil that lays. Plant material in there doesn't do all that great. What are the goldenrod grows well down in there, but what else is growing down in there during the
There's
summer
some
growing
grasses. There's some stilt grass, but the native grasses, like reeds, I don't know what the name of it is.
All right.
And right now we have our vernal little ponds in there where the froggies hopefully will be laying their eggs. And
So in a vernal pond is a pond that appears in the springtime when it's wet. It's not a permanent pond, just when it's wet in the springtime.
yep, because it's also probably there because there's not as many, the trees aren't green, so it's not sucking up all the water.
Got it.
Once they start sprouting, then the water starts going down, and plus we're still in a drought.
We are. We
So-
have almost a 4-inch deficit for the year, and we're only at the end of March. And last year, I think we ended with a 2 or 3 inch deficit. So yeah, we need some water.
We do, yep.
Okay, coming down here where Sherri is grappling right now, and she's trying to pull out some of the invasive honeysuckle, I believe, and other weeds. Appears to have a log right now. I'm not sure she has enough throttle going on that thing. We'll have to tell her.